one of my underlying goals in life is to be a force of good. And now my channel's got like 50, 60,000 subscribers. I'm like, I can use my platform and really help these people.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Hey friends, welcome back to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Rose Willard, and today's episode is with someone truly inspiring, Liz Amazing. And honestly, her name fits her perfectly. Liz is one of those people who just gets things done. She's a serial entrepreneur, started out as a high-end wedding photographer, moved into real estate, then decided in 2018 to ditch the traditional career path and hit the road in an RV. But that's not even the best part of her story. Liz has built a YouTube channel from the ground up, and she's turned it into a real force for good in the RV world. She's become a passionate consumer advocate, helping owners of brand new defective RVs who are stuck in a total nightmare. And get this, in less than a year, she's helped get 11 buybacks, numerous cash settlements, and factory repairs, all thanks to her amazing subscribers liking and sharing her videos. Isn't that incredible? In this episode, we dive into her journey from her early career to the challenges facing the RV industry today, as well as some tips to avoid new RV nightmares and the practical steps you can take to build a better, more customer-focused RV business. I can't wait for you to hear this. Liz's journey is a testament to the power of entrepreneurship, purpose, and the ability to use your platform to make a real difference. So let's get into this right after this brief message from our sponsor.
This episode is made possible by Travelfy. Want reliable internet without the hassle? Meet Travelfy. It's portable, high-speed Wi-Fi that's ready to go wherever you are. From road trips to remote cabins. No tricky setup or permanent location required. Just plug in and you're connected. And here's the best part. No contracts, no commitments, and no reactivation fees. Pay only for the months you need. Travelfy connects to the strongest available signal among multiple major networks, so you stay online with confidence, backed by a US-based support team that knows the outdoor lifestyle. Travelfy, simplifying internet while you travel. Visit travelfy.com today. That's TRAVLFI.com. Listeners can save 15% with code RVE at checkout.
She's a force to be reckoned with in the RV industry. Liz Amazing, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. It is an honor to have you on to share your story as well as all the wonderful advocacy work that you're doing for the RV consumers that have been wronged. But before we get into all that, please share with us a little bit how you first got into RV life and what that looks like now.
Well, it took me 26 years of dreaming about full-time RV life before I hit the road. I grew up not camping. My family's British. My mother has never drunk out of a paper cup. You know, very proper British family. I was dating a guy in Kentucky, and he said, we're going to go camping. And I thought, oh, well, that to me means staying in a cabin. I truly thought that. So he's laying out something on the ground, and I'm like, where's the bathroom? And he says, behind the tree. I came back and I said, no, it's not. I mean, I had absolutely no clue. And from there, I discovered RV life. I was not going to sleep in a tent. I learned that pretty quick. That was too much of a stretch. But I ended up marrying this guy, and we got a truck camper. It didn't have a bathroom. It was just a bed and a sink. And after having to need to use the bathroom in the middle of the night on a cold, rainy 3 a.m. night and being in a campground and the bathroom being way up the hill, we bought a Class C on the way home that had a bathroom. And then from there, I've gone on to other campers, and we divorced, and I still had that dream of just seeing more, being out on the road and seeing more.
Yeah. That is, oh, you've been RVing a lot, probably since the 80s, right?
Yes. So late 80s was when I got the truck camper, and I'm actually on camper number 10. So I have had one truck camper, two Class Cs, one pull behind, actually two pull behinds now, a camper van, a motorhome, and three fifth wheels. So it's a lot.
Well, you definitely have some experience with those RVs, which is good for that work that you are doing. You understand. What did you do before you kind of hit the road income wise? What did you do in your professional life?
Well, my big career was wedding photography. And so even then, I had the dream of just traveling and taking pictures. That's my true gift. My true talent is photography, and I just love it. And all I want to do is travel and take pictures. And so, because I couldn't, in my late 20s, early 30s, just hit the road and live on the road, the next best thing was wedding photography, because new venues, I love seeing new things and photographing new things, and got to use my creativity with photography. So I did very well. I became one of Louisville, Kentucky's high-end wedding photographers, where, one of the last weddings I did, the bride showed up on a horse. It was just gorgeous. They brought furniture out in the woods. Very Instagram friendly. I loved doing that. And, but I felt like I was ready for a change. It was really hard on my hands holding, heavy cameras. So I segued in 2015 into real estate. So I could use my real estate skills and marketing and sales skills, which is also another one of my strong backgrounds, is marketing and sales. And I did that and really did really great income with both real estate and wedding photography. Still wanted to hit the road. I had one of those vision boards, and I had the RV up there. Like I said, 26 years of dreaming of full-time RV life. And real estate was great as far as making great big paychecks, but you have to answer the phone at 7 in the morning, 11 at night. You know how much hand-holding is needed when someone's buying a house that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's very stressful. If anyone has ever gone through buying a house, you don't want your realtor to call you back the next day. You need an answer now. So it wasn't even conducive to camping, because I had an RV, but I couldn't even go on weekends or even just during the week, because I needed to have phone service. But I'm grateful to real estate because it funded my time on the road. I took a 1-month break. I bought a camper van and headed out west, because I was like, I had not been further west than St. Louis. I'd skied a couple places out west, but I hadn't driven out west. So I took a camper van. I had a Chinook 2004, very well built. The camper van. I went out west for a month. I hit Glacier National Park and lots of other places. I wanted to see all the national parks, wanted to get to Redwoods, but I didn't make it. And I came back and I was like, I'm done with real estate. I'm done with everything. I want to sell my car. I want to live in this van. I want to do this the rest of my life. And this was in 2018. And it was just like the best thing ever. So I took that van and I went down to Florida, and I had my first winter down there, and I had this real estate funding this until I could figure out what was next.
Okay. And then, wow. Yeah. No, that was good. That was very, very good. So that drive to get out there and the grind of real estate really was your kind of pivotal moment, right? To leave that behind. Yeah.
Yes. It was such an intensive, I was really good at real estate, but it was just so intensive. And I would just really if I hadn't have taken that month break, I would have been in an insane asylum. It was just so high stress. But I had now a year's savings. So that was great, So I went down to Florida, and I was down there, and now I was going to be full time. I had got a divorce. I sold the car, got rid of all my furniture, and everything I owned was in the van, and wow, off I went. And I lived in 100 square foot, me and my dog. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be a drone pilot. And I got certified because, again, photography has always served me well. And I learned if you're traveling to different towns and you say, hey, I'm in town for a few weeks, let me be a drone pilot for, realtors or whatever. people will not hire you. They think you're fly by night, which
Right.
I literally was, right?
I was going to ask you about that because my husband got his drone pilot license. We have a YouTube channel, and at the time, monetizing, you needed a license for that. And we're like, wow, maybe you could do that too. But yeah, you're right. You're not very hireable like you would think.
No, I stayed in this one campground in northern Florida for all winter, and it was family owned, and one of the extended family members was a very successful realtor, and I did a lot of work for them, but only because they got to know me. As I left and started heading north, nobody wanted to hire me because I get it, oh yeah, I'm just here for a few weeks. They're like, nope, nope, nope. So how it came into YouTube was I went back to Kentucky where I've spent 30 years, and I traded in, well, actually I sold these Chinooks separately, and Chinooks are so coveted that I actually sold it for more than I paid for it and more than I put into it. And they're just wonderful, wonderful camper vans. But what I learned, and with RV life, it's always a trade-off. And I'm down there wintering and I want to explore, but if I want to explore, I've got to clear all my counters off, pack everything up, because that's my only vehicle.
Yeah.
And I was super nimble. I never made campground reservations. I just stopped on the side of the road. I just boondocked. I had solar, I had a generator. But I decided after wintering down there and having neighbors with fifth wheels, I was like, I want a fifth wheel. I'd had one before. That way I can park it and then take my truck and explore.
Yeah.
So that took me back to Kentucky, sold the van separately, got the fifth wheel, bought a truck. Now we're in early 2019. As I'm traveling across the country, I'm meeting people who are really like, wow, look at you. You're a solo RVer and you've got a dog, you got this rig. You need a YouTube channel. And I was like, no. The last thing I want is to put myself out there in the social arena so that people can judge me, hate on me. I was like, no, I don't want to be, I know what the internet's like. And I said, no. But as time went on, I was like, why don't I just do it? Because I have the skill set for it. Wouldn't it be a great personal growth opportunity for me to do it and not let other people define me? Just be so rooted in who I am that, haters are going to hate, but still be who I am. Mm-hmm. So I started it in summer of 2019, and I just did RV tips and tricks.
Hey RVers, let's be real. Your RV showerhead isn't great. And even if you swapped it out for something better, chances are it's just a shinier version of the same old thing. And if you're really lucky, those stiff hose kind of let you get wet, but definitely not where you want it. That's where Waterpik comes in. A global leader in water technology, they've designed the Transform RV showerhead to change the way you shower on the road, making it easier and more efficient to shower in tight RV spaces. While other RV showerheads have limited spray adjustments, the Transform RV's unique 360-degree pivoting head allows you to customize to any spray angle without having to remove it from the bracket. This means you can reach your desired spray area and shower with both hands free. This shower head doesn't just work better, it feels better. It's engineered to deliver powerful, consistent water flow. Its multiple spray settings are optimized to get the most out of your water tank. And with the new trickle switch, you can conserve water without that shocking blast of cold or hot water when you turn it back on. It's available in white, chrome, and nickel. The Waterpik Transform RV Showerhead is ready to upgrade your RV shower. Head over to Amazon and check it out now.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to us. And, we got on the road and it's like, all right, well, let's share this so that our friends and family can kind of follow us and keep up with us. And it just kept rolling and going, and we provided similar stuff like you did. But then you transitioned. You transitioned into becoming a consumer advocate in the RV space. How did that come about?
It's a whole nother thing. It's become a second job. Typically, I could get it takes me twice as long to do the video now because, first of all, the people I interview are not used to YouTube. They're not used to organizing their thoughts in a very concise and engaging and compelling way, which we know YouTube needs. So I'm really doing a lot of editing. And then I'm also doing the advocacy in the background. I'm doing the research. I'm fighting for them. So I just need to clone myself. But so how this came about, so I've started doing this in the spring of 2023. But a year before that, I tried to do it and the stars weren't quite in alignment. I'm scrolling on YouTube now, like most RVers, I belong to, 20 Facebook pages that are RV related, whether they're specific owners forums or full-time RV living or, RV travel. And I started seeing these heartbreaking stories. I bought a brand new camper. It's not working. And the company basically says, tough luck. And I'm like, that's not right. I mean, as a serial entrepreneur, I know how to treat my customer. And I'm like, someone spends $150,000 or even $30,000. You don't just tell them, go away. Sorry about your luck. If you make something defective, then you need to make it right. So one of my underlying goals in life is to be a force of good. And now my channel's got like 50, 60,000 subscribers. I'm like, I can use my platform and really help these people. Well, I couldn't get anybody willing to go on back in 2022. A lot of people have RV problems, but not everybody wants to go and tell the world on YouTube, which I get. I just explained to you how long it took me. I probably thought about it for 6 months before actually, making videos and being a YouTube creator. Then the problems started piling up. We've heard the phrase COVID campers. More and more people were just having horrible RV nightmares. So in 2023, I really started doing it and people really started responding and I started getting results. So I've been doing the RV consumer advocacy now for just over 2 years and I'm just super passionate about it. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I've gotten over 11 buybacks that I can talk about. There's been more. I've gotten numerous cash settlements for people there where the company has said, I'm so sorry, here's 30,000 or more. And I can't even count how many where I've been able to get them the help. I've had companies fly in and do repairs. I've had numerous where they've sent the transport back, even when they've said no before I stepped into the scene. Now they're coming to help them. Now they're taking it to the factory. Now they're making it right. So I'm super proud of that. But I couldn't do it without having the audience and platform behind me, supporting me, sharing, watching these videos.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you how many inquiries you typically receive. And like you said, not many want to be on YouTube, but do a lot come in every day or how is it?
This is probably the most painful part of my job. I get about 8 a day. Now, I had to hire somebody because I found for my mental health, reading 8 heartbreaking stories. We're talking about people who spent their life savings, people who may be dying on their last year, their bucket list trip, and now the RV's broken. All kinds of horrible, horrible stories. So I hired somebody to read these stories and sort them for me. And I have criteria. I want to help everyone, but I cannot help people with rigs that are, years old. I'm really focusing on defective from the factory. If it's 5 years old, that's a lot of research for me to prove that it happened at the factory if it's breaking now. Now, if it's a broken frame, that's different. I can kind of help. So that has been wonderful. And then I also have an intake form. So because some people will write this story that's a book, they've had this stuff going on for forever, right? So I have an intake form which helps organize their thoughts so that I can tell their story better. And I read every one of those. I have my interview coordinator go through and some people that it just can't be helped. Sometimes, they'll say, well, I didn't know you're supposed to reseal your roof. I'm sorry, I can't
Oh,
help you on
geez.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Often it is, it's just not a lack of
Maintenance.
education on their
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Which no one has really taught that. You have to take it upon yourself. When you're buying this RV, you need to know it's like a house. So you need to know how to take care of it and preventative measures.
right.
And unfortunately, not many people think about that. And then also when they go to buy new RVs or used RVs, they don't necessarily think to get an RV inspection. And that's probably something you highly recommend when you're buying new or used, correct?
That is singing my song. I think every RV inspector knows my name because I have done so much for the industry. I bought a motorhome at the end of 2022. Really wasn't on my radar. Here it was like camper at that time, camper number 9. I was like, I know them. I'm fine. I know what to look for. And I really didn't. I didn't have the tools to check for, gas leaks or open electrical circuits. I didn't have that. I didn't have the ability to look at some of these complicated systems. Now, most people, well, certainly everybody who watches my channel, they understand. That's the other thing. If you're buying new, getting an inspection seems kind of foreign. Why would you want an inspection on new? It's come from the factory. Everything should be working. And the biggest, I think, issue with the RV industry right now is that they're being slapped together still, even post-COVID. These are being rushed out the door and they're not complete. And the RV manufacturer is relying on the dealer to finish it and do a PDI. Well, the dealers are having major problems with getting and keeping labor. This is a cyclical industry, so they're very busy typically in the summer and not much is happening in the winter. It's hard to get and keep help if they're working a ton of overtime in the summer. Hey, if you work at an RV dealership, wouldn't you like to go on your boat and go fishing, right? So they can't keep their help because if they have an interest in RVs, chances are they have an RV and they want some time off.
Yeah.
So it's just a multitude of problems with the industry. But the number one thing is now, and this is kind of a dawning on people in the last couple of years, you must have an inspection on new as well as used.
Yeah. Do you have any other tips for people buying new or used RVs, what they should look out for?
I think the biggest thing is to take your time. I've talked to so many people who get so excited. I mean, I get it. I waited a long time before I could hit the road. So before they buy it, they start making reservations. And, they order a rig and they say, oh, it's going to come in July, and they make reservations for the end of July to, Yellowstone or something. Well, then it gets delayed. All of a sudden they're at the dealer and they're like, we have to leave tomorrow and make our big trip. And I've had people on my channel with stories exactly like this. So all of a sudden, this reservation, this big trip is driving the bus and they're rushing through. And so I recommend that you take your time, don't make any reservations, plan on staying close to the dealer, spend the first night at the dealer, because they want you off the lot. So if you're standing there saying, my shower leaks, they're going to fix it. Versus once you drive off, you're going to wait in line at maybe weeks or months if there's something wrong. But before you even get to the dealer in the first place, once you've narrowed down what you want, join the owners forums, because those people will help you so much. Your fellow owners will tell you what years to get, what years to avoid, what to look out for on a particular model. They'll even tell you good prices if you're buying used. They'll tell you that. So they're a wealth of information. On top of that, I have a wealth of information, and people ask me all the time what to buy. What do you recommend? We know not to buy XYZ brand, Liz. We see them on your channel all the time. So I'm writing a buyer's guide, and I'm going to be naming names. I'm going to be naming years, and that's going to come out soon. I'm writing it as fast as I can, but there's so many brands and I have so much detail. But I think that's going to be so helpful too.
Yeah, I want to get to I saw about 6 months ago, you had a video about your group, your consumer advocacy group. Has anything progressed with that? Are you still working on that?
That's a great question. So I really felt that it would be a wonderful idea to make a consumers group, to have an organization where we all lobby for change, where we unite and pressure the RV industry. Maybe we pressure the government for regulation. However, if you haven't figured it out, I'm kind of busy. I can't do this. So I thought just by announcing it that people would step up and feel equally passionate. And really, that hasn't happened. So I am not going to be doing the RV consumers group because I just don't have the energy for it. But I think just doing the buyer's guide is going to be a great help. If somebody wants to start an RV consumers group, have at it. Or if you want to help me, I bought the domain names. It's, I don't even remember what I called it. I went through several. I think it was ICNRV, like the International Consumer Network of RVers or
I
something.
think
Yeah.
I read something like ARVCN. Was that the
First,
original? Yeah.
So I had a mentor tell me, well, you should have amazing in the name. So it should be the Amazing RV Consumer Group.
Right.
But, it just doesn't sound the way I want it to sound. I really wanted it to sound kind of corporate, So I do like just the ICANN RV, the International Consumer Network of RVers, because if you're in a campground and somebody backs in their brand new little travel trailer next to you and you can tell they're brand new RVers, you just walk over there and say, hey, are you part of ICANN RV? You're not. Oh, it's free and it's a consumers group. And I thought, it's a better, easier thing to promote. But anyway, it doesn't seem to be happening, or at least it's not happening now because I'm so busy working, doing what I'm doing, helping people on an individual basis and doing the buyer's guide, which I think there's so much demand. People email me. They're all over on the comments. There's a hunger. People aren't going to stop RVing. They just want to know what to buy so I don't get a nightmare.
Right. I mean, the RV industry, that is going to take a long time to get through to them and change. It's very hard. But I think what you're doing, putting that education into the RV owners' hands as a preventative measure and really empowering them to buy the right thing for them and hopefully have no headaches. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, nobody wants a nightmare, and most people that are on my channel, in fact, everyone that's on my channel that I interview, I mean, it's a case of don't know what they don't know,
Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of your videos since you are doing the advocacy, and the common thread in the beginning is they were rushed and they didn't know, and it kind of looked okay, or the guy didn't really go over stuff with them, but they had to get going. So yes, take your time and learn and be educated.
Well, it seems to be the American way to not do research. Somebody wrote that in a comment, and I thought that was so true. Husband and wife kind of turn to each other and go, hey, let's go get an RV, and they get really excited. And that is very common. I met a couple doing exactly that in my campground over the winter. They were telling my neighbor, hey, we're going to go get an RV. It's just kind of the American way. It's if you go to an RV show, it's totally set up to make you buy on a whim. They don't want you to do research. They're like, we have a show special, and it's like a carnival atmosphere with lights and music and noise, and it's all designed to, have you part with your money really quick before you think it through.
Yeah. You nailed that. So you with your work, you're drawing a decent amount of attention, right, from these RV industry, these manufacturers. Have you ever received threats? Have you feared for your life? Like, I can imagine that would be very intimidating at times if these manufacturers feel like they're very threatened by what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing is making a difference. I know that, and I don't want to. I'm not out to hurt anyone. I'm not out to hurt these businesses. I'm not out to hurt the dealers. I'm out to serve the customers and have them get what they're paying for. But when I see a decline in camper sales, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't worry about the manufacturers coming after me, although maybe I should. I think I've mentioned before, I haven't mentioned to you, but I did a video on Tiffin. And before it published, Yeah. Before it published, Lee Tiffin asked to go on a phone call with me. And I thought, great, he's going to help. And as soon as we got on, he said, I don't want this recorded. He had the entire executive team on. So imagine a Zoom call of like 5 white men looking really corporate at me, little old me. And he's like, what's it going to take for you not to publish this video? It was very intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
And he kept asking, and I was like, just serve them. You'll be the hero. He's like,
Right.
Just take care of these people. I mean, I just pushed right back. I said, just take care of these people and it'll be fine. You'll look like the hero, Lee. Just help these people, because he would not commit to helping these people. Finally, he said, the reason why I don't want this video to go out is I'm afraid the floodgates are going to open and more of my customers are going to want my help. And I was like, whoa. So you know that there's a whole bunch of unhappy Tiffin customers out there and you're afraid of them and you don't want this to get out because you're afraid people are going to. And I thought, well, that video is definitely going out. But in the same conversation, he said, I know what we'll do. If you don't publish this video, we'll make you a Tiffin ambassador. We'll fly you out here. We'll take care of you. You can show content of how we're building these Tiffins. You can do videos about that. So, okay, now can you imagine if you're in my audience? Okay, let's watch Liz sell out. All of a sudden, Liz is saying, look at this beautiful Tiffin. And, oh, by the way, I have a Tiffin now, because how can I be an ambassador without a Tiffin? So,
Right.
That whole thing was crazy. And the video did go. And Lee, to his credit, did help those folks. So I appreciate that. So I'm not worried about the actual dealers. I mean, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about the actual manufacturers. I'm obviously not going to take a free motorhome, even if it's a $500,000 Tiffin. Although, I talked to a friend and he's like, take it. And I was like, no, I'll never be able to make content again. I'll have to retire. And I don't want to retire.
Yeah. No.
So I am worried about the slightly mentally off RV salesman, because we know it has some seedy sides of it, kind of some slimy sides of the RV industry. So I do not talk about where I am. I do not out myself. I mean, I try not to, even on Facebook. But I don't spend a lot of time worrying about that, because if you're camped next to me, chances are you know who I am, and if somebody creeps around, you'll protect me. Everyone knows I travel solo. So, I feel like I have a whole bunch of people, watching out for me. And I have way more people watching out for me than are out to get me.
Yeah, no, that's good. And when you're dealing with these manufacturers or dealerships, what approaches have helped your viewers kind of get these results after purchasing a faulty rig?
So my number one secret weapon is that I pay for some very pricey software that gives me the email addresses of company presidents. That has been gold, because I'm going right to the top. I am gifted in being able to write a strong email using words like alarming, shocking, and so the president isn't going to help them. He's just going to kick it down to, the director of customer service or VP of customer service. But if you are the VP of customer service and the president sends you an email, forwards an email to you, you're going to take care of it because it came via the president. So that's how I'm able to get the results, is just going to the very top. I know that all the presidents of all the RV companies know who I am and probably watch my videos. And actually, that's what I want, because maybe they'll wake up and realize that the path they're on is not sustainable. They're not going to continue to get customers if they continue to ignore their customers.
Yeah, customer service is so big, and just do it right. I mean, how hard is that?
Apparently, it's very hard. There was a big shift in the RV industry in 2018 before COVID. Apparently, the big companies brought in like these bean counters. How can we maximize our profit for our stockholders? And they made a shift away from the customer, away from quality, all about serving the stockholders. And I'm talking about the big mass-produced companies. And so I'm talking about Thor and Fleetwood and, the big ones. And so that shift said, well, why do we need to use nails? We can use staples. Why don't we use glue? And that is why the decline, that's why typically 2018 and older is a very good RV. But 2019, and that's before COVID, I had two 2019 builds that actually were 2020s by Grand Design, but they were 2020 model years, but actually made in 2019. Both of them had problems because it was in this era of serve the stockholder. And I don't know how long they can do it, but, I'm not helping with their reputation because I'm calling them on the truth. I am a truth teller here. And, hopefully that will wake them up.
I hope so. Yeah, I was going to ask you about, when you started RVing to now, like how has this industry changed as far as the manufacturers and the dealerships? And it sounds like you just said, that they're shifting away from those consumers and that customer service, which is a shame.
So there are lots of small independent RV makers that are focused on the customer. I did a video about the Oliver trailer. Highly recommend that. I interviewed customers. That is a solid build. That's a good quality RV. It's small, but I think simple is better these days. Just simple is better. If you get a slide, it's not a question of if, but when it's going to break. I mean, at any of your systems. And I definitely stay away from those control panels that do everything, those touch screens that'll do your air conditioning, your heat, your lights, your levels, your tanks. No. If those go out, if you're going to travel, if you're not going to travel, if you're always going to be close to a dealer, fine, get it. But if you're going to travel, that's just too scary. I've heard too many nightmares about that.
I agree with you 100%. We had a 2017 outdoors RV travel trailer. It was the perfect size. It was small. And that thing was built like a tank. Let me tell you, they're built in Oregon and they are quality build. Just like you said, Oliver. And now we have a camper van. We have a Road Track Scion Slumber. It's been great for the most part. But like you said, there's so many bells and whistles on that thing. It's not if, it's when.
And I want to caution you about outdoors because I was going to buy an outdoors about 1.5 years ago and I was all ready to do it. And I was not buying the top of the line one. I was going to buy, because I needed lighter. I had a half ton and my God, I walked in there and you could feel the cheapness. I went into $75,000 brand new models at the end of 2023 and they were
I think crap. You hit it because of that year after 2020. Everything went downhill, I feel like. All right. So wrapping up here, what advice would you give to someone who wants to build a similar platform in a niche industry? It doesn't have to be the RV industry.
Educate yourself. If you're going to do this for a living, then you need to treat it like a full-time job. You want to work it like a job. I invested heavily into how to learn to be a YouTube creator. And I first just bought a small course for $150. And then I bought a $1,000 course. And then I bought a $5,000 course. But I wasn't just blindly throwing money at it. I was looking at quality and results, because I am a serial entrepreneur and I knew that I wasn't going to be born to know how to be a YouTuber. I had to educate myself. And so that's what I did. Just educate yourself, follow the people that are successful that you admire, see if you can kind of see what components they're using or how they're doing it so you can get some tips that way.
That's great. Excellent tips. What is the best way for listeners to learn more about your work or reach out to you to find help with their RV issues?
They can go to my YouTube channel, Liz Amazing on YouTube, or go to my website, lizamazing.com.
Excellent. I'll put that all in the show notes. Liz, your work is truly inspiring. Thank you for all that you do. Yeah, this positive impact in the RV world. Let's keep it going. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
What a fantastic conversation with Liz. We touched on so much today, from the struggles RV consumers face to Liz's inspiring journey as an entrepreneur and advocate to her advice on building a trustworthy RV business. Remember to head to lizamazing.com and her YouTube channel at Liz Amazing to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast for more inspiring stories, actionable advice, and ways to build your business with integrity. As always, thanks for tuning in.
Searching for the perfect campground can be overwhelming, but not with RV Life Campgrounds. With user-generated reviews, RV-specific data, and real-world internet speed tests, you'll have all the information you need to find your ideal spot. Don't leave your camping experience to chance. Trust the experts at RV Life. Visit campgrounds.rvlife.com to start your search.